G'day, I'm Schuey from Smoked BBQ Sauce, and today I'm going to be grilling some juicy dry brined pork chops. So let's get into it. That's right, today I'm grilling pork chops. Now, the type of chop that I like to use is any from the rib area. These ones particularly are effectively like the T-bone that you'd get in beef. What I do ask my butcher for is a fairly thick cut. So I'm going to sort of want anything over an inch is good. I tend to ask for about 1.25 inches to 1.5 inches. That way you only need to give one chop per person. Also, I'm going to trim off any of the excess outer fat, as this just won't render down in the cook. I'm going to dry brine these pork chops, and this is going to help retain moisture and tenderize the meat. As the salt is drawn into the pork flesh, it will break down the muscle proteins. So into a fridge on a wire rack, uncovered for at least an hour. These ones will be getting an 8-hour dry brine. We're going to make a super tasty apple and raw beet slaw to go with these pork chops. Now, apple pairs really well with pork, so any of my pork recipes, I always try and incorporate some apple into it. Now, we're going to start off by peeling and finely grating the beets, and we're going to place them into a bowl, followed by some apples that we have cored and cut into matchstick sized pieces. Now we want to add to that some finely chopped cabbage. Now we can add some of the apple cider vinegar, brown sugar, mustard, olive oil, finely chopped parsley, some kosher salt, and some freshly cracked pepper. Stir that up really well, allow the sugars to dissolve, and place it in a fridge covered until we need it later. So our pork chops have been dry brining for 8 hours now, and that's going to help create a nice crust on these pork chops when we grill them. Now also, the salt would have fully dissolved by now, so there's no need to re-season these chops with salt. A little bit of freshly ground cracked black pepper will really go nicely with them. And all we'll do is we'll just leave them to the side and let them come up to room temp before we put them on the grill. Today I'm going to be setting up a 22-inch Weber kettle for dual zone cooking. The first part of this cook, we want to be cooking around the 300 to 350 Fahrenheit mark. Now the way I'll do that is I'll start by half filling a chimney starter of briquettes. I'll light that up. Once they're ashed over, I'm going to put them into a charcoal basket on one side of the charcoal grate. I want to pair this up with some smoking wood, and I'm going to use some apple wood. Just going to place that on the lit briquettes. Now I'm going to put the grill in place, put the lid on, make sure the vent's wide open, give the Weber about 5 minutes to warm up, and then I'm going to oil down that cooking grate. While we wait for that smoke to settle down in the Weber, we're going to make some apple sauce. An easy apple sauce to make, and we know apple pairs really well with pork chops. So to start off, grab some Granny Smith apples, and we're going to cut them down nice thin slices, and we're going to put them into a tray. And then we're going to drizzle that with some lemon juice and sprinkle some sugar on, some cinnamon, maple syrup, and then put some lemon zest over the top of them. Cover that with foil, and then these can go into the barbecue just when the chops do. It's time to get the chops on. Now I'm remembering, I'm going to use that cool zone away from that hot fuel that we've put on. So we'll put the chops on the cooler zone along with the apple sauce. I'm going to track the internal temp of these chops to 110 degrees Fahrenheit. I'll keep my thermopen nice and handy so I can keep a check on it. And this is just the first part of the cook. The lid goes on with the vent above the chops. That's going to draw the heat and the smoke across our chops. So now that the chops have reached an internal temp of 110 degrees Fahrenheit, I want to actually put in the grill grates and start warming them up. I also want to light up another half chimney, or just under half a chimney of charcoal, and we're just going to track the internal temp now to 120 degrees Fahrenheit. So the internal temp of the chops has finally reached 120 degrees Fahrenheit. So we need to get them off the barbecue and just rest them on a board. We're going to put some butter on them. Okay, now what we also need to do is get the apple slices off. We need to just move the grill grates out of the way. We need to put that extra lit charcoal in there, put the grill grates back over the charcoal, put the lid on. We want to get those grill grates to about 600 degrees Fahrenheit, and we just want to put the apples into a food processor and blitz them up and make our apple sauce. After about 5 to 10 minutes, our grill grate should be at temp, and now we want to get some sear marks onto these chops. Now just remember, give them a bit of a clean and a light spray of oil. Now we want to put down the chops, a little bit of pressure on them, and set a timer for 1.5 minutes. Once that 1.5 minutes done, take the chops off, lightly oil the grill grates again, reposition the chops but just on a bit of an angle, put the chops back down, another 1.5 minutes, take them off, oil, flip the chops over, 1.5 minutes, take them off, oil, spin them around a bit, 1.5 minutes, and get them off. And we are aiming for an internal temp of 145 Fahrenheit. Today I've made a favourite of mine, that apple and raw beetroot slaw that pairs perfectly with pork. Add to that awesome apple sauce that I showed you how to make. Now the best way to serve this up is put a big serving of that apple and beetroot slaw on a plate, and just to freshen it up a little bit, you want to put some lemon zest down and a light squeeze of lemon juice over the top. Now select one of those massive pork chops and put it over the slaw so you can see those gorgeous sear marks. And don't be shy now with the apple sauce. 1, 2 or 3 big dollops of it. Perfect. Well, there you have it, grilled pork chops. What I love about this recipe is it is super tasty. The fact is it's super easy and it presents like you spent hours creating it. Most people won't realise it only took realistically about 20 minutes to prep. I love how the dry brine creates a nice crust on the outside but retains all that moisture inside the chop. It's absolutely the best way to prepare pork chops. For a full list of the ingredients, check out the description. Although, if you do want a step-by-step recipe, go to smokedbarbecuesauce.com and check out the recipe over there, plus a range of other great recipes. Thanks for watching. It's now time for me to eat. Some dry brined chops. That's right, today I'm grilling chalk with a whistle. And it flies back. Are you kidding? Go away. Get your own food. Oh, go away. And I will forget to tell you what temp I want to be cooking at. To one side of the charcoal grate. Go away, fly, get your own food. I'm gonna punch a fly. So now what I want to do is